Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone. I have a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like. If you're new to the channel, it's your first time here, you've never ever seen any of my lineup advice videos, hey, the only thing you need to do to be able to get the NBA content on a regular basis right now is to become a subscriber to the channel. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put on your post notifications, that bell icon. Click on that, turn that on, so this way you don't miss out on any of my new lineup advice videos. And also remember, I'm moving forward. MLB's around the corner. I will be doing Major League Baseball. So if you're interested in Major League Baseball, another reason why you should become a subscriber, so I can help you out with that. And then going into the summer, late May, we got WNBA. I covered that all last year, and I will be doing that as well. So keep that all in mind for you guys that are new subscribers if you want to get that kind of information. Other than that, that's basically it. Today, with all that being said, today is Friday, February the 8th, 2019. We have a 8-game slate in the association. I did pretty good last night with some of my lines. My best line got me a 335. Not enough, obviously, to take down GPPs, but I made a few bucks. I think I broke kind of even, maybe a little profit. I know the two previous nights, I did profit about $50, $60 for both nights combined. So we'll see how it pans out today. I will be playing a little bit more lines today. I didn't play as many lines last night. I had a number of things to do late in the evening on top of going over my watch players list and making final decisions. Most importantly, man, also, if you're not following me on Twitter, please make sure that you add me to your Twitter. It's at DFS Zone, at DFS_zone. I've been very proactive with the Twitter account, really staying on top of my followers there, letting people know at the last moment. I've been tweeting out pretty much any injury reports, any possible value plays because of those changes during the course of the day, as well as I am also tweeting out my picks for the day about a half hour before lock. And within those picks, I'm also giving you options. I give you a little couple more options, usually about 6 or 7 more possible plays, so that you can make those last minute decisions there at that point in time. So if you want to be able to get that kind of information, make sure that you become a follower of mine at DFS Zone, at DFS_zone on Twitter. Other than that, let's go right over to the draft dashboard. As you know, this is my new weapon of choice here on the show at DFS Zone. This is my 3rd day on the actual software. I'm actually getting a little more acclimated to it. I really do like the software a whole lot. And you know, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not utilizing something like this, what the beauty about the draft dashboard, as you can see, if you really are a fan of fantasy sports, or you're just coming in and you're getting started and you're not too familiar with NBA or using an optimizer or using a software like this software, as opposed to a number of the other ones out in the market, and there's a lot of great products because I've used about 4 different ones. This one pretty much narrows it down to your research time is just minimized, so much so, with all the information that you have here on just one screen. So that's what everybody has to understand. Everything is here, all put down on one screen. You got from the player all the way to his salary. You also have the DraftKings prices right here as well, so you can be able to realize if you're doing both sides. But the software does cover FanDuel and DraftKings. You know, you got here fantasy points per game. You got the minutes. You got the usage. You got versus the opponent. How many the 3 games against the opponent? They got the last 3 games here, as you can see. You also got the projected points, value per dollar, and most importantly, a new feature added to the tool is ownership projections. As you can see here right now, Eric Bledsoe, for instance, at 17%. And on top of all that, look on the left side of the screen. You got the NBA cheat sheet that Chris has added to this software, which is awesome. And at the same time, you got the sleepers and studs. You got the lineup optimizer. As you get your watch players list, build up your player pool. Now you can go to your watch players. You could go to the lineup optimizer, and you can optimize lineups for the day, as many lineups as you need or that you want to have within those players that you have chosen. And the beauty of it all this for you guys, I'm able to offer that to you. Thanks to Chris and Draft Dashboard, I'm able to offer that to my viewers and my subscribers for 30 days, $1. You cannot go wrong. Plain and simple. You cannot go wrong because $1, I assure you, you follow me on DFS Zone and you already made some money, $1 is going to be a piece of cake to pay for this product for 1 month. So you'll make that $1 back and then some, to be totally honest with you. And then you will get a tool here. And the other beauty of it, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have my watch players list. If you utilize the link in the bottom of my description here of this video, you got to click on that link if you want to set yourself up with Draft Dashboard. That link is going to be linked up with my watch players list. So you're going to be able to watch DFS Zone's watch players list right off your own dashboard when you sign up with Draft Dashboard. That's the other beauty of it. So you want to follow along with me. You want to be able to look at all the players I'm looking at and how I narrowed it down to the very end of the day. And I advise you to check again during the course of the day, especially like after 5 o'clock, because by that time, that's when I settle in. Look over some stuff again. Look over team statistics, which obviously is not something that's here. That's something that you got to additionally got to do. But overall, all the basic information you need to at least make some sort of decisions on players for the day are all right here on the Draft Dashboard. So great product, and I look forward to Major League Baseball. Like I said, if you're going to do Major League Baseball, I will be doing Major League Baseball, and I would like you guys to follow along with me on that journey as well. All right, let's get right to it. So today at point guard, man, right at the top, you see here, you got Eric Bledsoe. Let me just get this lined up here. So at the top, you got Ben Simmons, Steph Curry. To be totally honest with you, I'm going to try to be as quick as I can. I want to be quicker with the information, so I'm going to go right down to Eric Bledsoe. I'm not on Curry. I'm not on Simmons. I'm not on anybody on the Philadelphia game, just simply because Philadelphia, obviously, they have just traded for Harris. We'll like to see how they play as a unit for a game or two before I start seeing more or less where the usage is really coming out, because they're going to have to get Harris involved. So I'm interested to see how that pans out for at least 2 games, maybe even 3. Plus, this is a tough matchup with Denver. Denver, we know, is pretty good defensively. It does have a high implied total in this game, as you can see, 230. But I'm gonna stay away from this particular game, at least for today. I'm not saying you guys should, but for me, I'm definitely gonna fade the Denver Philadelphia game. Over here, Golden State versus Phoenix, same thing. Golden State should have a cakewalk here. They have beaten this team twice already, over 17, I think 20 somewhat points the second time around. So I definitely do feel this is going to be a blowout. So 9,200, I think I could save the money and go down and get the same value from someone else that may have the same upside as far as getting me 45 or 50. And that person here is obviously Eric Bledsoe. We do know that Chris Middleton is going to be rested today. So it's obviously a little bit of a bump for Eric. Looking at whom gets the usage bumps is usually Eric. Brogdon, of course, a very little, but Eric Bledsoe gets a little bit more, and then, of course, Giannis gets the most of it. But we'll see. Giannis is also game-time decision, but I believe he's going to play. So I still do like Eric Bledsoe here. Eric Bledsoe is coming in here at 7,800. He is 6,700 on DK. He's actually $1,100 cheaper. You need pretty much 38 to meet value here, 34 on DK. He's averaging 33. As you can see here, his last 2 games, 44 and 53. He's had 40-plus in 4 straight games. We know he has 50-point upside. And on top of that, the minutes are there as well, averaging 29. As you can see here, 26 and 26 in the last few games. He will have a bump in minutes as well in a situation like this. And the usage rate is just perfect for a point guard who's very much involved in the offense, 23% on average during the course of the year. And as you can see, that has been trending upward at 25 to 27% over the last 2 games. And last couple of games against this team, he's not done too bad at all. He has 1 game thus far this year against Dallas. He had shot 50% in that game, 21 points and 37 fantasy points. He is averaging on the road 16 points per game and 33 fantasy points per game. Dallas is coming in here, as you can see, 23rd in defending opposing point guards. They've been allowing 31.4 fantasy points per game as of late. They did give up 54 to Walker, 42 to Mr. Jackson, and, of course, 46 to Lowry. So Bledsoe is someone I'm considering. De'Aaron Fox is the next guy here. I do like Fox, especially at home. Now, I know these numbers look pretty gruesome here. You got them 4th best defending against point guards. I just feel that Justice Winslow is a pretty good player and not a bad defender. I just think that Fox is just a little too slick, a little too quick, more athletic, a little more agile. Might be a tough matchup for Winslow to defend if Winslow does defend him, and he has been pretty much defending most opposing point guards throughout the last, during the course of the injury to Goran Dragic. So I do like Fox here a whole lot. He's coming in at 7,500. You need pretty much 36 here on FanDuel. On DK, he is $200, $300 cheaper, or $200 cheaper. He's at 7,300 on DK. You need 36, pretty much 36, 37 is what you need. He's averaging 36, as you can see here. Last 3 games, not pretty here. In the last game, only 15, but 41 and 40 the game before that. He's had 39 plus in 2 out of his last 3 games, and we know he's capable of getting you 50 or better. The minutes are there. 31 average during the course of the year, at 28 and 31 over the last couple of games. His usage rate is at 25% on average. It has been kind of down. He hasn't played particularly well over a little bit of a stretch, but again, he does play well at home. At home, he's shooting 44% from the floor, 35% from three. He's averaging 16 points per game and 36 fantasy points per game. He did play one game against Miami earlier this year. He shot 53% in that game, 20 points, 40 fantasy points. So I do like the matchup and what he did the last time. I think he has an opportunity to do just as well here again today. Miami is 4th in defending point guards, which obviously is always a concern. But over the last 5 games, like I tell you, I always try to gauge things over the course of 4 to 5 games. In the last 5 games, they have given up 31.2 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards, 31 to Lillard, 31 to Collison, 51 to Westbrook, and 35 to Dunn. So I do believe Fox is right there in the running with most of those guys. I think he'll be able to do well here, and especially playing at home. And knowing that, they got to keep winning games if they want to make a run here at the playoffs. So De'Aaron Fox is definitely in play for me. Other than that, there are a couple of guys that could be optional here. You're going to see there's a number of other people that I'm considering. I'm not going to go over them like I've been doing as of late, like I've done in the past. Basically, options are Shabazz Napier could be someone to consider. Napier, Chicago's coming in 20th in defending point guards. They've been allowing 35.6, quite a bit of fantasy points over the course of the last 5 games to opposing point guards. He has played as of late, he's had 26 plus minutes, and he's averaging 29.5 fantasy points, especially over the last 2 games. He's also averaging close to 1 fantasy point per minute during the course of the last 4 or 5 games. So I think he is definitely an option. Other than that, obviously, because of some injury news, we do have some guys that you can actually consider here as well. Like, for instance, Tyler Johnson, obviously, because of the trade. Tyler Johnson could be an option here today at 4,700 versus Golden State. I did get word that he is going to start. I just don't know how many minutes he's going to play, but I'm going to be monitoring that. He is someone that we can possibly consider. Then we have this situation here with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, Mr. Bayless got out of the game last night. He got hurt. We're going to see where this all, what's going to happen here with Minnesota, with Teague, Rose. If these 3 guys, as well as Tyus Jones, are out, then that means they have no choice but to play Isaiah Cannon. At least that's what I think. He's the only one left on the roster that can play the point. So if that is the case, then Isaiah Cannon is going to be someone that we're going to have to consider as well. So make sure that we keep an eye on that. I think those guys. And then you got to consider also for New Orleans Pelicans, no Alfred Payton. So you definitely still got to consider Frazier. You still got to consider Frank Jackson. I do like Frazier a little bit more tonight. Frazier is 4,100. Jackson's 3,700. So they're right down there in that good drop spot. Those are guys that you can consider. Let's go over to shooting guard. At shooting guard at the top, you got Luka Doncic, Bradley Beal. I am not any one of these 3 guys. Doncic is up there at 10,000. He's going up against Milwaukee. Tough matchup for him. It is going to be a paced-up game. We know he's playing pretty much the point. He's probably going to be the point guard the rest of the way. I'm not feeling this game for Doncic at $10,000. You need 50 from him. I think that there's some options down here below that can get me possibly 45, 50, and they're going to be a lot cheaper. And that one person that stands out to me is D'Angelo Russell, where I can save $1,200 from Doncic. So I'm going to come over here back to the draft dashboard, and you're going to see, let me just fix this here. Okay, we got D'Angelo Russell right here. So I'm going to go with D'Angelo Russell, man. 8,800, and he pretty much 44 to me value. Now, granted, that is a little steep price, but he has 50, 55-point upside. So that's the one thing we got to look at. On DK, he's 8,200. You need 41 to me value there. He has been averaging 35 during the course of the season. He has had 46-plus pretty much in 3 out of his last 4 games. And he has, as I said, he has 55-point upside. And look, as you can see, the minutes are there. 30 minutes a game on average. 32 and 35 out of the last 3 games. So he's pretty much in that 32 to 35-minute range. I do think this is going to be a game that's going to be paced up. It's going to be a little bit high scoring. As you can see, the implied totals are 225. Usage rate, 30%. Excellent for him. I do believe that that's a good thing for him. And the other thing I like about D'Angelo Russell is that he's the main focal point for Brooklyn as far as offense. He's taking literally about 21 shots per game over the course of the last 5 games. On average, he's taking a lot of shots. He's taking also 6 or 7 threes per game, and he's actually burying those at a consistent basis as well. He is at home, and at home he is averaging 20 points per game and 39 fantasy points per game. So that's slightly above his average and very close to the price tag. Versus Chicago this year, he has played against them 3 times. He's averaging 23 points per game against them and 39 fantasy points per game. Chicago's coming in, as you can see, 20th in defending opposing shooting guards and allowing 30.8 fantasy points per game. And right now, his ownership is pretty much projected at 21%. So he's on the higher end today on his 8-game slate, but rightfully so. I think he's in a great matchup. Miami's coming in here. He did play Miami one game this year. He played Chicago. I did give you that information. Chicago, the opponents recently that Chicago has faced, allowing 30.8 fantasy points per game. Drew Holiday put up 44. Lamb put up 29. And Joe Harris, his teammate, put up 30 against him. So again, D'Angelo Russell is definitely in play. Other than that, I do like Buddy Hield here as well. I do like Buddy Hield at 6,500. He is 30. You need 33 here to meet value. On DK, he's 6,600. You need 33 as well. He is obviously a better price on FanDuel if he's 6,500, $100 cheaper. He is averaging pretty much 30 points a game. Where is he at? He's averaging 31 points a game. He's had 34 and 47 in 2 out of his last 3 games. So I have him also at 29 plus in 6 straight games. And of course, we know he is capable of getting you high 40s, even possibly getting you 50. At home this year, he's averaging 21 points per game and 33 fantasy points per game. He is actually taking about 10 to 11 shots on average per game as of late. And as you can see, his minutes are there, 32 minutes or better. In the last 3 games, he's at 34 and 35. So he's actually been trending upward as far as minutes. Usage rate is up as well, 25 average. Last game put up 28% usage rate. And as you can see, in last 2 games against Miami, 45 and 46. So he's done very well. He has played that one game, that 46 spot here was earlier in the year. He shot 57% in that game, 67% from 3. Did put up 23 points from the floor and 47 fantasy points. Miami, as you can see here, they are defending opposing point guards. They're 7th in the defending opposing shooting guards and allowing 28.7 fantasy points per game. They did recently give up 43 in the last game to McCollum, 27 to Corey Joseph, and the game before that, Ryan Arcidiacono put up 26, and the game before that, Timmy Hardaway put 40. So again, Buddy Hield is in a good spot here versus Miami as well. Other options at shooting guard, you got Brogdon. If there's no Middleton, you got to consider Malcolm Brogdon. I do also like Andrew Wiggins here with all the injuries they have at point guard. You got to consider Andrew Wiggins. Now, granted, he's on the front end of a back-to-back. Did play last night, had a massive game. May be the better choice to go with Towns today, but he is definitely someone you can actually have could opt to. He's going up against New Orleans. They're 29th in defending shooting guards, and they've been allowing 39.8 fantasy points per game. So obviously there is an option for him today with that team being that vulnerable. I also do like Jordan Clarkson here today as well versus Washington. Washington is 26th in defending shooting guards, and they've been allowing 26.4 fantasy points per game. He's at 5,800 and 5,200 respectively. In both platforms. At small forward, let's go over to small forward. At small forward, I mean, I'm not at the top with Giannis today at 12,000. I do think he's in a great matchup. If he does play, I will sprinkle him in some of my quarter GPPs. Don't know if I really want to lock him in as a core for tonight in any of the bigger GPP games. Same thing with Durant. This, I think, is going to be a blowout. He has not put up big numbers against Phoenix because he hasn't had to. The teams they've been blowing him out, and he's only had to play 25 to 28, 29 minutes, and didn't even really have to put up large numbers. I think he's put less than 40 points, fantasy points per game in both of those matchups. So Durant is definitely someone I'm not going to consider, but you can consider Josh Richardson. Let me see. Let me just make sure of this. Yes. Okay. So then you got Otto Porter. He could be an option if he starts and he plays for Chicago. Remember, he just got traded. Could be an option at 6,900. But I'm going to come down to Kelly Oubre Jr. because Devin Booker is questionable. If Devin Booker doesn't play, I love Kelly Oubre a whole lot. Don't lock him in just yet, but I think he's definitely going to be a nice solid player at 6,700. You need 33 to meet value. On DK, he is 5,900. You only need 29. He's averaging 25. We know that he has 40-point upside, all right? And as you can see here, as far as the last 3 games, 40, 33. So he's been trending upward as far as fantasy point totals. He has had 28-plus in 4 out of his last 5 games and playing 31-plus minutes in that stretch. He's also taken about 12, 13 shots per game from originally 9 or 10 shots a game. So he has been slowly but surely being more offensive-minded on his team. And when there is no Devin Booker, there's no doubt that Kelly Oubre has to elevate his game. And then, of course, that's also going to benefit Tyler Johnson, new to the Phoenix Suns, starting today as well if Booker is out. And then, of course, you got to also consider Josh Jackson. But Oubre in play, man. Usage rate is there, 23% or better. I do like him a whole lot. He is taking, like I said, 12 or 13 shots a game as of late, and he's also taking 5 or 6 threes per game. He's averaging at home pretty much 13 points per game since he's been traded over to Phoenix, 26 fantasy points per game. He did play one game against Golden State, and that was a while back, 50% from the floor. He did get 15 points from the floor, didn't do a whole lot of anything else, only finished with 18 fantasy points. So again, I do like the situation. Now, granted, he's probably going to get some, maybe possibly some Kevin Durant defense or Draymond Green. So, those guys are pretty decent defenders. But again, I just like the whole idea of him getting a usage bump, minutes. Of course, when you're getting minutes, you're getting usage, you're going to get more shots. All those three things together will equate to possibly more fantasy points, and that's what we look for. So you got to keep that into consideration with Kelly Oubre. Other than that, I do like Trevor Ariza. Once again, Trevor Ariza and Jeff Green are definitely in play for me again today. So Trevor Ariza, 6,200. You need 31 to me value. On DK, 5,700. You need 27. He's averaging 28. We know he has 40-point upside. All right, as of the last few games, 41 and 27, a little choppy. He's averaging 28, but he's put 27 plus in 3 out of the last 5, and he's playing slightly over 31 minutes a game over the last 3 games. He's taking also a little bit more shots as well. He's taking 10, 11 shots more per game, and he's also getting a little bit more threes, 5 or 6 from 3. His at-home numbers, 43% field goal percentage, 31% from 3, and he's averaging 17 points and 35 fantasy points per game. And the usage rate, as you can see, is a little bit on the lower side, but we know at the very little amount that he's getting usage, he is taking the most out of those shots when he does get those opportunities. 26 in the last game against Cleveland. I do believe he's going to do well here. 45% in that game when he shot from the floor, 37% from 3, did put 13 points on the floor, and 28, pretty much 26 fantasy points. Cleveland is 26 in defending small forwards, and they've been allowing 27.7 fantasy points per game. They did in the last game give up Tatum 47, Barnes previously to that 27, and Seldom put up 32. So Trevor Ariza in a good spot as well. And if you're going to consider anybody else here in this area, you got to consider Bridges for Phoenix at 4,100. I think he's an option. Golden State is 6th defending small forwards, which is probably going to be a tough go. But, of course, if there's no Devin Booker, you got to look for value somewhere in Phoenix. So Bridges could be someone to consider if you're not going to be on Oubre at that price tag at 4,100. And he Golden State, of course, allowing 26 fantasy points per game. Other than that, I do also think you can consider Joe Harris or DeMarre Carroll of the Brooklyn Nets. Carroll is at 5,500 and Harris is at 5,400. They both should be in play as well. All right. And, of course, anything can change on the watch players list. So if you do come aboard the draft dashboard, you'll see those changes as I narrow it down later on. All right, we go to power forward. At power forward, I'm not on anybody at the top. I'm just, again, Anthony Davis is coming back. I mean, he's been out of service pretty much for a week. I just don't want to pay $13,000 to see how well he's going to play. Of course, he's also probably a little bummed out. He didn't get traded. So you don't know what his emotions are or how he's feeling. So I'm going to wait it out and see how well he goes. I'm sure he's going to be professional, go out there and continue to play hard. But we have to wait and see. I will have a wait and see approach with him at this moment. Blake Griffin could be a possibly good play. I just feel at 9,000 you need 45, and he hasn't really put up big numbers this year. He's only hit 60 2 times in the entire year. And on top of it, because I looked at it this morning before I left to work, only 60 plus, and I think 2 or 3 times this year in the entire year. And he's been in some 50s. He's had more 40s. He is more of a 40 to 45 point guy, and he hasn't averaged anything more than 45, 46 pretty much against the Knicks, as you can see here, 42. So I am not on him on the – I think the matchup is great for him, but he's just, for whatever reason, he's just not getting it over. Julius Randle, same thing, came back from an injury. I'll wait on him. Lauri Markkanen can be a possible play. I don't like his price tag at 8,100. But he is someone you can consider. You need 40. On DK, he's 7K on the nose, so definitely I love his price a little bit better. $1,100 cheaper there. I would think that he's definitely someone you can consider for sure on DraftKings. You need 35 there. That's definitely below that price range, and it's near his average. And we know as of late, he is good for 40, 42, 43. But at 8,100, I would need him for GPP. I would need him to get me 50. And I think you could consider him for cash, but I don't think for GPP is a good move. So I'm going to come all the way down to Josh Jackson. I do like Josh Jackson here. Obviously, even if there's Devin Booker, he's been an integral part of this offense as of late. But if Devin Booker is out, he's going to get more of a bump. Now, granted, he's going to go up against Golden State. He's going to have to deal with either Kevin Durant or Draymond Green. Not an easy task, but the kid is very athletic. He's very long. He is confident. He's playing like he's very confident. His game has been good as of late. So you may have to have him as an option at 6,900. You need pretty much 34. On DK, he's 5,900, a whole $1,000 cheaper. Definitely a fine play there as well. You need only 29. The kid is averaging 22, but as you can see, he has been trending upward for a couple of games now. 42, 34, and 53 in his last game out. The minutes are there. Over 36 minutes a game over the course of the last three. Usage is from 25 all the way bumped up to 32 and 29 over the last two games. So again, he hands down for the usage he's getting. Even though his price tag is going a little bit up, you got to consider him in this matchup, and especially if Devin Booker is out. 25 plus in 6 straight games and 34 plus in 3 straight games as well during the course of those 6. He has had 25 plus minutes per game in 25 floor points per game in 3 straight games, over 35 minutes of playing as well. He's taking from 11 to 12 shots all the way to 15, 16 shots per game on average over the course of the last few games, and he's also putting up 3 to 4 threes per game. And what he does other than that, he can bring you rebounds. He's a pretty decent defender when he wants to be. In the last 3 games, he has had 9 steals. 9 steals in the last 3 games. You definitely got to take advantage of a guy like that with that potential. So again, I do like him here. At home, he's averaging only 11 points per game and 24 fantasy points per game. But again, that has been trending upward. Golden State here, 6th in defending power forwards, allowing only 22.4 fantasy points per game. The last recent game, Bertans put up 22. Other than that, Wilson Chandler 16, Thaddeus Young 24, and Marcus Morris 22. So not a whole lot of scoring from those guys. But again, this is all about taking advantage of the situation. We know that he's going to get usage. We know he's going to get minutes. It's all about if his shots are going to go down, and he's going to take advantage of that. And I think he has an opportunity to do that. Other than that, you got Marvin Bagley. I do like Bagley here against Miami. Bagley 6,700. You need 33 to meet value. At DK 6,200. You need 31. He's averaging 26. 31 plus in his 3 out of his last 4 games. As you can see, 31, he had 56 and 28. His last 3 games, as far as his minutes, he's been all the way up from 27 to as much as 33 minutes a game from an average of 24. Now, granted, he has been slowly but surely just been becoming part of the offense on his team. He was a number 1 overall pick this year, so we know it was just a matter of time before he was going to be an integral part of this actual offense and of this team. Usage rate, 23% for the year, up as much as 22, 27 over the last 2 games. He has had 4 straight double-doubles, and he's also been trending upward as far as shots per game, 15 to 16 shots per game. He brings rebounding. That's for certain you're going to get from Marvin Bagley. And the beauty of him also is that he does have a pretty good defensive game. He gets you blocks, and he can get you steals. He's had 5 blocks and 3 steals over the last 3 games. That is huge fantasy point total numbers. Everybody that I'm talking about here today, especially in the power forward and small forward spots, are very good, decent defenders. They can get you steals and blocks. And on FanDuel, those are big, big fantasy points. So always keep that into consideration as well. At home, 48% field goal percentage, 12 points per game, 26 fantasy points per game. He did play 1 game against Mini. He did play 1 game earlier this year versus Miami. And that was way back on October the 29th. He only played 16 minutes, so that comes to show you how far he has come. So we can't even base it on that. We're going to base it on what he has done as of late. Miami is 17th in defending power forwards, allowing 25.5 fantasy points per game. They have recently give up 37 to Thaddeus Young, 33 to Marketing. So again, I think Bagley is in a good spot as well. Other than Bagley, I think there's some other options as well. I mean, you got Nance Jr. I think there's definitely a bump for him to do very well. He's done well as of late. 6,500. You need 32 from him. He's averaging 27. He's had 26 plus in 3 straight games, and he has had also 3 double-doubles during the course of that game, averaging over 24 minutes a game. He has also been averaging slightly above 1 fantasy point per minute. And what he brings to the table is another guy in Larry Nance who can get you, who's very long and lanky, could get you some steals and blocks, especially blocks. So I do like him as well. And I also do love Jeff Green here. Fanduel 5,900 on DK is only 5,300. He started in the last game. I would expect him, and I would assume he's going to start again today for Washington. 31 plus in 4 straight games with 40-point upside. You cannot go wrong at 5,900 or 5,300. 4 straight games with at least 20 points from the floor. 4 straight. And he also can bring you some steals and some blocks. He's a pretty decent defender as well. Other than that, you got a couple little sneaky plays like Vanderlei. You never know what's the deal with the Knicks and Coach Fizdale. So Vanderlei could be in play. Sometimes it's Cornet. It's just hard to gauge, but something tells me Vanderlei, because of the matchup today, I think, against Detroit, I think he's someone that they definitely should bring in there. He's a little more physical, can rebound, can get you some shot blocks. He can block the ball a little bit. So I think Vanderlei at 4,800 could be a possible sleeper play. Dario Saric is only 3,700 on FanDuel. And he played monster. I mean, he played 28-plus fantasy points in 2 straight games thus far this year. He's a definite nice option at the drop spot play, and 21-plus minutes over the course of that time. So if his minutes stay up and he gets a little bit more time, I think Dario Saric could be a very good play as well. We go over to center. At center today, for me, it's only 3 guys I'm looking at center. Obviously, I already told you earlier, I do like Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns here, you got to take advantage of. Now, the only drawback is, and the only concern is that he played last night, so he's a front end of a back-to-back. But again, I mean, the matchup is there. He's going to have to get pumped up. He's going up against New Orleans, going up against AD and Julius Randle. It may be a tough matchup for him, but I still do believe that he's going to be able to do well here. He's at 11,200, as you can see on the screen. Then you need about 56 to meet value. On DK, he's 10K on the nose. You need 50. 45 plus in 8 out of his last 9 games. 45 plus, as you can see in the 3 here, 62, 51, and 45. We know he has 60, 70-point upside. We know that already. His minutes are going to be there. He's averaging 33 in the season, but as you can see in the last 3 games, 34 or better. He's had 4 straight games with double-doubles. And he's playing, like I said, more than 34 minutes a game. His usage rate is through the roof, 28% on average. Was a little down in the last game, but 28 and 32 prior to that. And as you can see here, look at this. Averaging 66 in his last 3 games against New Orleans. And just in the 2 last previous games, 79 and 70. Man, he's averaging about 74 fantasy points in the last 2 games against these guys. So, you got to definitely consider him. He's going to be a highly owned guy. 23% right now, pretty much projected ownership. He at home, he's on the road. His numbers on the road, 22 points per game and 11 rebounds on average, 47 fantasy points. Again, he has played New Orleans 3 times this year. 46% field goal percentage from the floor, 20 rebounds, 26 points per game from the floor, and 67 fantasy point average. New Orleans is coming here 19th defending centers and allowing 42.8 fantasy points per game. That is huge. They gave up 40 to Turner, 46 to Aldridge, and 63 to Jokic over the last 4 games. Next in line for me is Mr. Whiteside. If he gets the minutes, he could, I always said it before, Whiteside's only the concern is minutes. If he gets the minutes, he's capable of giving you 1.1 fantasy points per minute because he's long, he's lanky, he can get you blocks, he could steal, he's a pretty decent defender, and he's a good rebounder, and he's good enough under the basket to get you very easy buckets. So Whiteside is definitely someone to consider here. 8,000 on FanDuel, you need 40. On DK, he's only 6,800. So if you're playing on DK, which I will be playing today, Whiteside is pretty much a lock for me at center. You got to take advantage of the situation. On top of that, he has had he also has had 34 plus in 6 out of his last 7 games, and he also had a 58 spot in his last outing. In his last game, he put up 58. He's averaging 36 for the season. So he's very close to his $8,000 price tag. His usage rate is 28, 30, 24, and 34 over the course of the last 3 games from an average of 23. So he's trending upward. The long as he gets the minutes, which he's gotten 30 in the last 2 games, if he could get 30 again today or better, he's going to more than likely be able to get his 50 to 55 fantasy points on this price tag. I think he'll smash value. All right. Away from home, he's averaging 55% field goal percentage. He's averaging 10 rebounds per game, 11 points per game, and 31 fantasy points per game. He's also taken about 11, 12 shots a game more as of late than he has done in the past. And we know we're going to get rebounds from him. He rebounds at least 10 to 11 rebounds on average a game. That's been up also. And, of course, he brings the blocks and steals, which I did mention. He did play Sacramento earlier this year. He put 70, his shooting in that game, 70% field goal percentage. He put up 24 rebounds. He pulled down 24 rebounds in that game. 16 points. 60 fantasy points. Sacramento coming in here 21st in the defending opposing centers, allowing 39.6, pretty much 40 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. Fareed put up 35, Aldridge 39, and Embiid 63 over the course of the last 3 games. And then if you're not on Towns and you're not on Whiteside for about nearly $3,200 cheaper, why not come down even cheaper and take a stab at Willie Cauley-Stein? $5,400 for Willie Cauley-Stein. I know the numbers don't look pretty here. Second best defense against against opposing centers, but man, it's crazy. Not only that, not only the price tag, he did have one good solid game against these guys earlier in the year. So Willie Cauley-Stein in play, $5,400. You need 26 on DK's 55. I'm okay with that 55. We definitely love his price better on FanDuel. 55, you need 26. He's averaging 31. He's averaging 31, and we're getting him below price. So, I mean, he's definitely at a major discount. I definitely do like him. His home and away, at home, his field goal percentage, 52%, averaging 10 rebounds a game, 14 points per game, and 34 fantasy points per game. And as you can see, numbers don't look pretty. 31 here in the last, he's been averaging 31, but he's been at 12, 18, 38. It's been 3 games ago since he got in the 30s. I'm basing this all more so on his price being too low. He's in a matchup where I think he could be able to do well because he already played against Miami. He did put 46 in his last game, and then last year he did 38 and 29. So he's averaging 38 already. That's crushing 5,400. So just that alone. And he's projected to be probably 3% owned. I think he is definitely a steal at 5,400. I really don't care about his usage. He's not going to be a high offensive guy. He gets a lot of putbacks, a lot of easy baskets. He's about rebounding and getting blocks. And that's what we need to see from Stein. And that's what pretty much most of my guys in my lineup that I'm looking at today are going to be able to bring me. Versus Miami in that first game, he shot 65%, 13 rebounds in that game, 26 floor points, and 47 fantasy points. So, again, I do love the matchup for him. Again, at that price tag, you got to at least have some exposure to him. Miami is second in defending centers and allowing 27.9 fantasy points per game as of late. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, my watch players list is at 33, so definitely stay in touch so that you'll be able to know more or less. If you already have signed up to Draft Dashboard, you're going to be able to get. Now, if you're having a problem getting my DFS Zone watch players list, let me know right away. And I already spoke with Chris at Draft Dashboard, and he already told me what I need to do to be able to make sure you guys get that information to you guys, because we definitely don't want you to have an issue with that, especially going closer to lock. All right, but other than that, that's basically it, man. I wish you guys a lot of luck. I hope we make a ton of money. Remember to drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Remember, we got MLB coming up, WNBA also in the middle of the year, so a very, very big year, like always at DFS Zone. I want you to be a part of it, so make sure you subscribe and make sure that you become a part of the community. Other than that, wish you luck. I'll see you guys tomorrow.